Hey man, so we can go and get started, dude. I'm just gonna do my quick intro, introduce you, and give you a chance to talk to you about yourself and introduce yourself, and then we'll go from there. I don't have a real direction. I'll probably get into your teaching a little bit, because we
Okay.
are. I'm gonna touch on the whole creating a team, coaching kind of thing, which is kind of right up your alley as a teacher.
hmm
And yeah, and just bullshit, drink whiskey.
Sounds good.
Cool, man. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
How long have you been in the Navy?
Only a bloated life.
I'm Jamie Britt,
And I'm Heath Britt.
and together we are E14. We have 40 years of naval service.
And each week we discuss a potpourri of topics, which we like to call smoke pit topics.
These are real world topics that concern us, our marriage, and our Navy with a sailor twist.
So join us each week.
As we dive into the deep end.
Booyah!
Welcome everybody back to E14 Podcast. Again, it's just me. Jamie's doing her recruiting thing. Man, she's been busy as hell, but that's all right. I got a man with me, Chance Whitmore from the Strive, Seek, and Find podcast. Chance, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on. This is awesome. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too. So I hit up Chance. I said, hey, man, that's bullshit. Drink whiskey. How's it sound? And he was like, yeah, I'm game. What you drinking on?
So I've got a little Buffalo Trace bourbon
Nice.
here. It's a old favorite of mine for two reasons. One, I love the nose. I love the flavor. And two, I really love the price point on it.
Yeah, definitely. I got some Four Roses bourbon,
Oh, good
single
choice.
barrel. I like it. I've never had it, and it's a 100 proof, good stuff. But I actually got it from a friend of mine, Hermes Oslander from the Scuttlebutt podcast. He was driving through. Big shout out to those guys. Him and his wife Khaleesi. They were already married, but they did a big ceremony with the fam. They did a road trip, and I was on his way there. So he stopped by. We drank a few beers, and he gave me this and a bottle of scotch.
that's awesome.
So I really appreciate it. And hey, congratulations to you two crazy kids on tying the knot again in front of your friends and family. That's great to hear. Really, before we get started, I just want to. I never do this, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna just remind everybody, please, if you like us, rate us on Apple Podcast and on Spotify. If you like the show, please rate us and send us a review. If you don't like us, just give me a give me an IM and tell me we suck. But just please don't put it on the app. But yeah, man, I'm super pumped, man, to have you on. I'm ready to drink some whiskey. I'm ready to get a little buzz on and get drunk with one of my favorite teachers. Everybody says they wish they'd get drunk with their teacher. I'm getting drunk with a teacher right now. So how long you been doing that gig?
Oh, good Lord. This is my 27th year in education. I started possibly in retrospect, it feels like a little young. Came out of college, started teaching and coaching in 1996. I taught in two schools in the state of Idaho, and then went in high school, mainly senior English, but some history and some other types of English along the way. Coached football, coached wrestling. Then in about 2007, so after 11 years in the classroom, I took a job to be a dean of students. So dealing with the discipline and attendance of kids, and then went vice principal, and then at a high school, and then let's see here, vice principal of the high school, elementary principal, so that I could see my own kids for a couple of years.
There you go.
And now I'm a middle school principal.
Say middle school. What is it middle school to you guys? Depending on what state you're in, what, 6th, 7th, 8th?
6th, 7th, 8th for middle school. Idaho's funny because we got some middle schools that are 6, 7, 8, and then we have a few of the smaller ones go 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you got junior highs that are 7, 8, 9.
It's weird. Same thing. I don't think it has to do with the state. It just has to do with the area of the state you're in. Same thing in Louisiana, and I'm finding that out here in Pennsylvania too. But man, damn, 27 years. You joined teaching about the same time I joined the military. October 31st, this past Halloween, was my 27th year.
Wow.
Anniversary of going to boot camp. back in October 31st of 1995. So I feel you, man. If I'm still in and you're still teaching, but I'm not in anymore, we'd be a couple dinosaurs in our job.
Well, I went can remember being the young guy with a bunch of old teachers because I was this bachelor and I worked on a staff that had been together forever. And suddenly I look around my building now and talking to people. I got a teacher who is retiring December 16th. He has been a PE teacher in the building I'm in since 1987. Never left, never done anything else. Great teacher, great coach. But man, I can't imagine staying in one place that long. I can't imagine anything like that because I'm on my 6th building, I think it is.
Wow.
And I got another one who's been teaching. She's a little bit older than I am, but she's been teaching 28 years. Those are the only 2 people in the building that are even close to my time in the system. So they look at me and I talk about something from the 90s and they look at me like, a couple of them look at me like they weren't even born yet. So
it's crazy. It's crazy. I remember my last duty station over in South Mississippi with the Naval Special Warfare. My first command was Abraham Lincoln out of Seattle. I was the youngest person in a division of 40 people by like 3 years. You know, the Navy's young and in general on average. And I was the youngest one in that division. And then when I fast forward 20 years later or whatever, I was in South Mississippi. The only person older than me was the daggum warrant officer. I was, and by a lot. I think the closest one to me was probably 10 years.
Yeah.
There was a lot of young guys, and it was all guys on my last command, and the civilian that worked with us, he was older, a little bit older than a warrant officer, and I was the 3rd oldest. So yeah, it really makes you look and think, especially when you've been doing something for so long, how you started at such a young age, fresh out of college. For you, actually, I was barely drinking age when I got to my first ship. I had a couple of years of school going into that. And now I retire. I'm the old goat, man. And but you know what? Now I got a job now, doing being a planner at an electric company, and I'm still not close to being the youngest person there. There's a lot of younger people there, but it's like that's a civilian job. So I mean, I could, as long as I don't get fired and do something stupid, I could be there forever.
Yeah.
And it's just weird to think about that. I'll never go anywhere else. I mean, they're moving buildings, but other than that, it's pretty much the same thing. And it takes some getting used to.
Is that changes the tone, doesn't it? Where you don't know there's a transfer eventually coming, that
Right.
they're going to move you on to another job. Does it change how you build relationships? Does it change how you do some of those things?
No, I'm kind of a people person anyway, but I would tell somebody to get effed really quick in the Navy, because I know, hey, if they deserve it, I wouldn't just tell everybody to get effed, but if you were jacked up, I'd tell you, hey, you go fuck yourself. But now I can't really do that. I can, but that's a long time of that uneasy feeling with another person you just told the F off. So you got to, it's not really in the back of my mind, but it should be. It should be.
Yeah, it does, because the things that you could sit there and if you talk to some of the people who have been there in that job for 10 plus years, there's somebody in there that has a beef that goes back 9.5 of those years.
I'll guarantee you. I haven't noticed it yet, but I haven't been there long, but I'm sure there is some beef there. It gotta be. You can't work around people that long without having some kind of beef. But I'm a type of guy, if I know there's a problem with somebody, I'll confront them about it. I try not to let stuff simmer too much, because I hate that uneasy feeling.
Agreed.
I hate it.
It's better to go right into it and just get it done with.
Get it over with, man. Hey, if you got to throw blows, you got to throw blows. At least it's done with.
Yep.
So 27 years you've been in that profession, and I'm thinking about my life, in the Navy, how it was 26 years before I retired. Tell me, now you started as 27 years. You started in 96, you said. So what's I don't say caliber. I think there's not really, but have kids changed? A lot.
Yes.
Okay. A lot of people say like, our parents' generation said we were all jacked up, and we think our generation of kids are jacked up. So tell me, give me from the horse's mouth. Tell me about it.
Okay. Through my career, there's been a lot of changes in adults and a lot of changes in kids.
Right.
And what people forget is kids are kids. What their environment is and what they're dealing with completely has changed. When you and I were in school, the worst thing that could happen if somebody wanted to say something bad about you is talk behind your back or throw it up on the bathroom wall or some of that shit.
For a good time,
Now-
call Chance.
Exactly. Now, these kids have the pressure of social media. They have that is constant. They're addicted to technology on a level that, and it's not really their fault. We have trained them to be that way because when they were 2 years old, it was easier to keep their attention if mom handed them a cell phone than it was to I don't know, pay attention. And it's not with intentionality. It's just society is moving at a high pace, and so to get from point A to point B, you do some of those things.
Yep.
I did it with my kids. So they are very into it, and because of that, that has made them, well, it's built that cult of me up in them because they can get that big dopamine rush from likes and people paying attention to them. They're also, and I don't want to say, and a lot of kids are not like this, but you see more kids who are that don't understand that failure is part of a process.
Yeah.
And so teaching them that explicitly takes time. So the kids are great. More than any, it's just making sure they have the tools to be successful long term. There's always, they always talk about, well, coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
Kids right now, from what they were in 2019, by definition, have to be different creatures. They went through some stuff. They lost. They were traumatized and by it because mom and dad are trying to work. They're raising themselves. They don't have school for support. Even if the school's online, that's not the same thing.
Yeah.
So I got 8th graders right now who last year was their first year back in the building, but there was all sorts of rules and alterations with it. So it's their first regular year of school since they were in the first part of 5th grade. So
Wow.
they're not going to be as mature. They're not going to be as prepared. No matter what we do, it takes time to regain those skills because they haven't. You go through elementary school, and I worked in elementary school as a principal for 4 years. And a big part of elementary school is at that top end is teaching kids how to manage interrelationship. And those kids lost that. And because of that, you have to, it's a explicit reteaching of stuff that teachers in a middle school didn't have to deal with nearly so much. So it takes time. They don't have the tools because they didn't have the time to get them. Whose fault is that? It doesn't matter. We got to step up and help them become who they need to be.
I can't imagine, and I did a little bit. I had to evolve over the years in leadership. Like, you're in the most important leadership part. I mean, besides you are one of the main people that's going to mold young minds and to create successful leaders of our future, right? You and the parents. So you had to morph and change and let go of some things over the years if you were going to be successful. I can't imagine. Was that pardon my French, was that a mind fuck for you? Because you knew how your dad did you a certain way to get you to do what you needed to do. And you did a certain way to get your kids to do what they needed to do. Now you're taking on kids that you had nothing to do with rearing and raising, and you need to get them to do a certain thing so they can be successful in life. And they're not disciplined the same way you were or your kids were. You almost got to get into their mind. I can't imagine.
Yeah, it's totally different. I just for a little context, I was raised by a mother who was an educator and a father who was a 2-tour of duty guy in the United States Marine Corps. So I learned my best words from him at about age 10 to 10
great
on.
Words.
Right?
I'm sure he taught you some great words.
Great words that
all 4 letters too. All of them had 4 letters.
All of them. Oh, I learned I learned how to use fuck as a noun, adjective, adverb, and everything
Yes,
else by the
yes.
time I was probably 11.
The
I
word
was smart
fuck is
enough not-
it's very versatile.
very versatile. But you didn't get you're careful not to get caught by mom or by
Yeah.
him, because he'd sell you out at that point, because
Oh,
he
yeah.
didn't. But
Oh, yeah.
and so it was done a certain way. Going through high school, if my grades dropped, there was the talk behind the barn. If there was the which wasn't intentionally intimidating. And when I was a senior and he didn't think that was such a good idea anymore, because I was bigger than him at that point, it was the talk about, well, I had a talk with the Marine Corps recruiter and he's ready with the paperwork. If your grades don't come up, we're going down this weekend and
Ooh,
you're
shit.
signing. Like, gotcha. You're serious about this one. So it was very direct. It was very pointed. It was, I won't say rigid, but it was very structured.
Yeah.
And I started out that way, as that's how my coaches were. That's how my teachers were. Hell, it's still legal in Idaho, but nobody does it. In the state of Idaho at the time that I went to school, I was in middle school. I got hauled to the principal's office because I'd done something, don't remember much, but I was kind of an asshole. I'm sure of it. Small school. From the principal's office, I hear, SWAT, SWAT, SWAT. Senior comes out bawling his eyes out. I'm about to go in there next. I think I tore up the carpet going, I'm not going in there. I'll be good. Okay. Mr. Seeley, great guy, had a mirrored wall so that you had to watch yourself take your SWATs when you got them.
I like it. I like it.
So that society was just in that place. We went from the old guys around us were guys who had lived through the Depression, had lived through World War II, lived through Korea, lived through Vietnam. And it was just a very different society. It wasn't so me focused.
Yeah.
And good or ill, that's just kind of what we've produced. And what's changed with kids then is you have to get them to think for themselves. And there's recognition of some of the things kids go through. If my principal tried to handle some of the kids that I have in my building with pulling them in and swatting them, they've been through worse. They've had, life has kicked their butts more than most adults do. All you're doing is reinforcing to them that you can't trust people in authority if you go that direction.
Right.
So you got to teach them a different way. You got to hold them accountable. You got to make sure they understand that. You got to reteach them explicitly what the right way is, but you can't do what we did 30 years ago. It just doesn't work. And it was a mind fuck, because I came out of coaching, went right into doing discipline. And I thought I could talk to those kids the way that I talk to motivated athletes. You can't. It starts with, just like those kids, it starts with the same place. It starts and ends with relationships.
Yeah, definitely. They got to trust you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
even if they don't like what you say, they got to trust that you're doing what's right.
Right. Now, I like what you said about, you talking about the SWATs, that the principal was wearing that dude, like the senior's ass out. So I grew up, I'm sure Idaho is is that where you grew up, Idaho?
Most of it. Yeah. I grew up all over the West, but Idaho is where I spent most of my time.
Okay. Pretty conservative area, right?
Extremely.
Yeah. That's the way Louisiana, pretty conservative. Even though it wasn't always red, it still had conservative values at its core, right? So small school, like you talked about, 200 students from 7th to 12th grade. Very small. Wear your ass out. They believed in paddling. There was always that teacher or two that you just didn't want to get paddled by. I mean, they whip your ass with that paddle, and you would slam against the lockers, those guys.
Yep. And
I thought it was a good thing back then. Looking back then, I think it was needed. I think it was a good tool they had. And I talked to a lot of old educators. Jamie's dad is a retired principal. He taught for 20 plus years and was principal toward the end. What's your personal opinion on paddling? Do you think it outwore its stay? Do you think it was a good thing to get rid of? Because I'm sure it's not legal anywhere now.
Oh, it's actually legal in the state of Idaho. Nobody uses it though. It's
okay.
It's still on the books, but the rule is twofold. One, you have to have it written into your district policy. So it's not a principal making the decision. It's district policy. This is when we use it. And there's the thing that they had in most states by the end, which is there can't be any obvious anger. So you have to have a couple adults in the room, and the person can't be angry when they're doing it.
No, and I agree with that. No, I agree with that. I think
Yeah.
you don't punish out of anger. You punish out of rational thinking, no matter what the punishment is. And I don't ever remember getting paddled. I used to get my ass wore out too. I don't ever remember getting paddled out of anger. It was all all right, Heath. All right, put your hands on the desk. It was always let's get this done. It was never like get your ass. It was never out of violence. What's your personal opinion on paddling as a teacher?
Yeah, I having seen where these kids live and the shit they deal with at home, in some of them, not all of them, obviously, we great kids, but I see it as it would be a barrier, because that, whether like it or not, if the kid has dealt with enough violence in his past already, you hit that, you just become another face of someone who has used violence against them rather than someone that's trying to help them.
Gotcha.
So
gotcha.
It served it, but we're in a very different place, in a very different time. With me, I had a sixth grade teacher. He was same size school. 6 through 12, about 200 kids. Sixth grade, 6'6", Fijian dude with this huge afro, Mr. Sikatonga. He walked around the class with a freaking canoe paddle on his shoulder, and somehow he knew when I was turning my head to talk, and as the first word came out of my mouth, somehow that thing tagged me on the back of the head from across the damn room. So never hard, just to know, just hey, you're not paying attention.
Wow.
That was fine with me. Didn't bother.
Right.
It caught my attention. I needed it because I was a squirrel. But I don't think it can work the way society's structured now.
Yeah, I think well, I agree. I don't think anything should be used just to use, because we used to do it 20 years ago or whatever, because kids aren't the same. Kids are very, very different than they were when we were, when they're different than when, I mean, I'm a couple generations removed. I would say that, not obviously the generation, but the kids that are going through school after me, they're way different now. Really way different than when I went to school. But you said you coach. What'd you coach? Football, coached wrestling. Did both for most of the time that I was in the classroom. That's actually what pulled me into education initially. Is I loved the sport, and I wanted to give back to it, something that had done so much for me along the way. Was that wrestling? You said wrestling or football?
Football was my main one. I did wrestling. Because I saw it as training ground for my offensive and defensive linemen, because the best ones you had were always guys that knew how to get in there and hand fight and battle. And I'm a big believer. I tell this to kids now. They're like, "Oh, I'm just a basketball guy." Bullshit. You should be a 3-sport athlete, because the only way to get better as a competitor is to get out there and compete. And so I tried to keep as many kids as I could involved. Coached offensive and defensive line, freshman, JV, varsity at different points in my career. Coached mainly kids above 180 pounds in wrestling, because I was still in my late 20s, early 30s, and I just work out with them and wrestle them to try to teach them along the way, which was really good for me and really good for them.
So that's like heavyweights, right?
That's heavyweights.
Yeah.
And the only time I got injured as a teacher, it's happened as an elementary principal, which is a couple of good stories. I had a couple of little kids manage to take a chunk out of my hand and stuff when they're out of control.
Angry little shits, huh?
Angry. And my fault, because when I was trying to keep them from hurting somebody else, I put my hand I didn't have my hands protecting myself as well as protecting the kids.
Right.
But I had a 300-pounder fall on me, which didn't happen, was not unusual, but fell on me just right. Sheared a couple of tendons off some fingers, and I was done wrestling for like 2 months. I just had to sit around and yell at them from the walls because I had to get my hand fixed, and
couldn't wrestle with them.
couldn't wrestle with them, and they felt like they're getting off easy because they could take a little break and coach wasn't stepping in. It was
Well, how big a
but
boy were you back then in your, in
Oh,
your 29, 30 years old?
probably about, I was 250, 260.
Holy
As
shit.
li-
How tall are you?
6 foot. So
Damn.
I was as light as 213 at one point, one year, but it fluctuated because, well, like now I like my beer and my whiskey.
Yeah. It was easy to stay like under 200 when I was in the Navy. Now it's struggling now. It's fucking a fight just to.
Right now with I haven't made it to the gym since middle of summer, because once school cranks up, it's
busy
chasing my kids and hanging out at school.
Yeah, balls to the wall.
Yeah,
balls to the wall. So what was your favorite thing to coach? Like, what would you like? I'm sure you liked it all, but what did you like get really hyped at about, like, I get to do this today? What was your favorite thing and why?
offensive line, because
that?
it's so much a team within a team. You get 5-6 guys working together, stepping together. They're like brothers on the field. You get the down block, you get the double team, you open holes, and there's something that is just visceral and intense about going out there and physically kicking someone's ass play after play. And those kids just loved it, because they get a little bit of they get a little bit of dog in them. Good offensive linemen are a little bit dirty.
Yeah.
And so that they would have little they'd be knocking people off, and they'd set one up and knock them down. It was a lot of fun to work with those kids because they owned it, they loved it, and they were a unit. And you messed with one of them in the season, you messed with all of them.
It was like poetry, dirty poetry.
Exactly. A bunch of I take those kids out every week. We'd go out on the day before game day, and we'd go to an all-you-can-eat buffet.
You got to feed them big boys.
You got to feed them big boys. You'd watch a little film, and you'd go down to the all-you-can-eat buffet. You'd just sit there and talk to them and see where they were at and talk about the game. And some amazing memories of those kids. And all those, I call them kids still. Most of those kids are late 30s, early 40s at this point. And so in some cases, I have their kids coming through my school now.
Yeah, right. And I noticed that talking to my father-in-law, who's pretty much one of my best friends now, but he would tell stories. I mean, he still has people coach, hey, coach, and they're older than I am, some of them. I'm 46, and these guys are in their 50s. You got to think he's pushing 70. So he was teaching he was coaching in the early 80s. And some of those guys got grandkids.
Yep.
It's crazy. And, before he retired, he was coaching some of those kids back, because he was my wife's principal.
Wow.
Can you imagine being your dad as being the principal?
Two of my kids had that experience at the elementary school. Early elementary, they liked it. Late elementary, they did not. They'd like, I don't know him.
Yeah, but they're walking through with their hand over the side. Please don't say hi to me. Please don't say hi to me. I want to get into COVID. I just got COVID.
Oh, sorry.
I just had it, man. The second damn time, dude. Jamie had this big old freaking thing, man, like her chief initiation, and then final night. Drove 4.5, 5 hours from here, from the Pittsburgh area, to go more north in Pennsylvania, not far from the New York state border. Drove 4.5 hours, had my father-in-law, had my, my youngest boy with me. The oldest boy was following me because he had to leave a little bit early before we were leaving in a couple of days. So he had his own vehicle, but got there, dropped the kids off at the Airbnb, drove straight up to New York. This farm in New York, beautiful setup. This retired master chief let the Chiefs use it for their final night acceptance, and it was just beautiful out there in the God's country, deer, everything out there. And I went through it. The next day, I woke up and I felt like ass. went through final night because I was able to do final night because I'm a retired chief myself, senior chief. So I've been through it. You know what I mean? So the CMC was gracious enough to let me roll with him. And the next, like 2 days later, I woke up, felt kind of like I had a headache, a little cough. And I'm like, well, I just drove 5 hours and then unloaded the kids and my father-in-law, and then drove another hour and then came back. I mean, a lot of stuff going on. I figured I was just tired, just dehydrated, had a headache, just dehydrated. So I drank water, took a Tylenol, and I was just popping the whole weekend. I was just popping Tylenol and Motrin, just, regular, trying to keep the fever down. I didn't have a high fever. It's about 99, but I'm a little bitch. So, I need to keep the fever down. And then I got home Sunday morning. I woke up and took a test. I had a home test at home and I was positive. And I tell you what, you talking about, it wasn't that bad. I mean, I couldn't go to work. I had to work from home, but it was so annoying because the damn cough, this is my second time. The first time I caught, I didn't have a cough. I caught the OG one, the one back in 2020. Didn't have anything. I had a low grade fever and that was it. This one I was coughing, had a sinus head, just congested all of my head. It was just so annoying. And I was so glad to get over that stuff though. But I never had a high fever, but it just took a couple. The first time I got it, a day later, I just had a quarantine because I didn't feel bad, which drove me crazy. I still kind of felt bad for a couple of days. Not bad, but enough to know I was sick. Yeah. So now getting into that, not as a long story about nothing, but you dealing with COVID. So COVID lasted in the schools. I don't know how much in Idaho. I'd say in Louisiana, where I was at the time, a good school year and a half, maybe.
Yeah.
How much damage did that do in that short amount of time?
An incredible amount of damage. It'll in 100 different ways. For a lot of our kids, not all of them, obviously, a lot of our kids have great parents and great support all over the place. But there are a lot of kids who school is their main source of food, their main source of support. There's a lot of stuff that the school is basically their safe space. And they may be they hate it there, and they're angry while they're there, but by the same token, they know they feel safe. And so that's a kid that will never miss a day of school, even if there's times of the year that the teacher really, really wishes they'd miss a day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just because of behavior.
Yeah.
But that's their safe space. So let's go through the ways that this hurt kids. Disease aside, okay, what it did to community culture was.
I want to touch something real quick. I don't think COVID really hurt the kids physically. Like kids would get it, and it really didn't do shit to them. No. They had a quarantine, but that was about the worst.
It's the societal pieces that I'm going to
go. Yeah, definitely.
So they put it when we first, we closed down in March of 2020.
Yep.
And when we shut down, we put some things in place. We had food drop-offs at the school for kids so make sure kids were getting fed. We had just a lot of different things going on to try to support them. I was handing out wireless devices because a lot of our kids didn't have internet at home, trying to create ways to keep things from being barriers to them continuing to learn.
Yeah.
Didn't always work. But talking to the police, I was having to send teachers we were having to send the police to kids' houses to do wellness checks because we have monitoring systems on our computers for obvious reasons, but you have suicidal ideation, you have threats of violence, you have anything like that on the computer. Usually you have the kid in front of them, you can get a counselor in there, you can figure out what's going on, move on. We lost those tools. So we're sending police into the house. We're trying to reach parents. At times you can't reach parents or the parents aren't there. You're sending police over to the house to see what's going on and making sure the kid's safe.
Right.
During the height of COVID, you had, speaking from the police again, domestics, because parents are trapped at home, domestics went through the roof.
People realized, hey, I don't like who I'm married to.
Yeah. And you couldn't keep them in jail. So you're in lockdown.
Yeah.
Got kids in the house. Somebody gets pulled out for domestic. They can't put them in jail. The next day they're back in the house. Now you've got somebody who's got a domestic filed against them in the house with their kids and with their victim. So there's all this trauma coming out of that. Kids need other kids and they need other adults to learn how to socialize. They lost a year and a half of that. Even when we got back to school, you're talking masking, you're talking half the kids in the building at the same time, you're talking the inability to socialize the way you did because you have to the social distancing. So those things, and you're now behind in your learning and you know it. And we're paying, and the teachers, because of all the rules they're required to follow, are paying it more attention to whether or not you're distancing than really drilling down on things on education.
Right.
And so everybody was doing the best they can. So I'm not going to point fingers at anybody.
Right. It was tough. It was a tough pill to swallow. A lot of people had never been in this situation. We hadn't seen this in 100 years. None of us were alive the last time we did something like this. So yeah, I don't blame anybody. I think
it was a wreck.
I have some things I think about the government side of it, but as far as the commoner, the common teacher, the common health worker, that they did what they could, man. They did everything they could do in their own mental capacity, because this is uncharted territory for sure.
It very much made tore communities apart.
Yeah.
One side of the issue and another. And nowhere did you see that. You saw that in schools. I work with people, and I had complaints filed against me because I was following district directives. Other people had complaints filed against them because they didn't think they were following the district directives well enough. Parents tried to do the best they could, but they were all angry. Yeah. Because I was worried because of the reactions we'd had. My vice principal and I, when we started bringing kids back into the building, requiring masks, requiring all that, we stationed ourselves outside the door that kids entered into, not to deal with kids. We wanted to greet them, remind them, those kind of things, because we needed to, but to make sure that none of the community stuff spilled into our building.
Wow.
And we never had a problem with it, but other schools did. So we were prepared.
So what was your position at the time when COVID, at its height of COVID, what was your position in the school?
It was an awesome time. I was principal at the school I'm at now. Damn. And it gets better. And I'm going to tell you a story about nothing for a second here. 2019, I was end of 2019 school year. I was still an elementary principal. I was intending to stay another year. I was starting to feel like I needed to look around. I got asked to take my current position. I said, sure, no problem. So it was I knew I was coming into a really good school, but a high needs school that we had stuff we needed to do. I was excited. School gets ready to start. So all of this leads up to COVID. And so my first 4 years in this building has had a lot of crisis in it by definition.
Yeah.
We have day before teachers come back to school, the main power trunk outside the building shorts out, almost burns the building down. In the process, it melts our Wi-Fi and alarm system. So my first meeting with this teaching staff is, hey guys, we can't work here in the building because you can't do printers, you can't do copiers, you can't do anything. I've got all these places set up so that you don't have to spend your own money on it. Go get ready for school to start.
God dang.
3 days later, was it 3 days? Like 3 days later, they'd had the parts rushed in because you could do that in those days.
Yeah, back before COVID. Back before COVID.
We got the alarm system back up. We got the internet back up in the building. We hand out computers to kids. Second day of school, third day of school, I get an email. Everybody shut your computers off now. We shut them off. District had been hit by a ransomware attack.
Oh, and shit.
We were without computers. We gathered up all the student computers, shipped them off. We didn't have technology at all in the building for 6 weeks. So we're back to the 1980s, taking roll by on hard copy. We don't even have a way to cross check some stuff.
Meanwhile, in bumfuck Idaho.
Yeah. And,
Go ahead,
and
I'm
we're
sorry.
we're the third biggest district in the state of Idaho. We got like
wow.
13,000 kids,
Wow.
and we have and we are in kind of the Idaho is the middle of nowhere. It's not easy to
Yeah.
get here by any route.
A lot of wind. A lot of wind.
A lot of wind.
Yeah.
That's what's going on today. But the so we get that solved, and I have like a no, let's call it 2 months of semi-normal. Then COVID hits. That was my first year with these teachers.
Oh my God.
They're-
So before COVID hit, which was COVID hit, what, January of 2020? They said
Yeah,
it
and
really
we were
got
shut down by March. And
March. So this was like the school year of 2019, right? Starting what, September of 2019, school started. You go
Yep.
through you get the business
get,
right off the
I get my
bat.
ass kicked right off the bat.
Right off the bat. Then you get, so around November, you get up to normal, October, November, then the January comes around and we
Things
suck
start-
again.
We suck again.
Yeah.
So the joke is now that I am a sower of chaos. That the teacher's like, Whitmore's here. There's going to be another crisis. You got it.
That's funny. It reminds me of a story. Like I decommed a lot of ships in my day, right? Like I'd go to a ship and it would decommission. So motherfuckers, when I was coming to a ship, some of them that knew me were like, I guess we're decomming. I guess your ship's going away. Bring the chaos.
Bring the chaos. Well, it's been fine. It's all tongue in cheek, but it is. There's just been a lot in the last couple of years, and this year's been our best start to the year because it has been. I mean, it's not completely normal, but it's a fairly normal start to the school year.
That's good.
And because of that, I'm like, there's always a lot going on. Teachers, my boss looks at me and said, "Sorry, you guys are dealing with all this stuff." And I looked at him and said, "Man, this is the easiest start to a school year I've had since I came here."
Yeah, no shit. Definitely. It's weird that, during COVID, y'all still taught online.
We did.
No,
taught online.
Louisiana, there's so much that I'd pull chocks, man. We're not enjoy your extended summer. March, April timeframe, they shut down the schools and they didn't go back until later on the next year, and it was just a big clusterfuck. Do you think the COVID, I don't want to use this word, but I'm going to anyway, I don't mean anything by it, dumbed down kids
It put them
or put them behind?
It put them behind, and it takes a while to get that. Like, how I talked about with behavior. The last time a kid had been our eighth graders had been in a normal year of school until this year was fifth grade.
It's crazy.
So COVID, that COVID year, we were just playing. We were ahead of the game for most of the state of Idaho because we already had computers in every kid's hand that they took home beforehand.
Crazy.
So they could, we had Microsoft, so everybody was on Teams and they could review and check on kids. But our focus for that March, April, May time was checking in on kids, doing review, making sure they're all right, because we didn't know, and teaching what you could. The next year we put together a plan to make sure that kids got with a little more, but still it started out online and a lot of kids just wouldn't engage with online. And then it went to every other day. So you're getting half the content that you normally would. Kids are a ways behind, and you can see it in test scores, and you can see it and test scores are, don't get me started on standardized test scores.
Yeah.
But they're a single measure, but they don't tell you the story of a school. But you have, what we're seeing now is trying, and it also, part of this is exacerbated, is we took away for teachers all of what they had been taught was the best practice stuff. We took teaching back to the 80s, where teachers would stay, because you had to keep away from them. You couldn't do a lot of grouping, a lot of hands-on stuff. You were doing a lot of stand and deliver, make sure you're writing it down and getting it down, because you couldn't work real closely with them.
That's how it was in the 80s.
Well, sure. I wasn't in a classroom, but I seem to remember having to take a shitload of notes in every class.
Yeah, I did. I took a lot of notes. Yeah, that's true. You couldn't get up and like a lot of teachers, man. Not all of them, but a lot of them are very. I don't use this word as a compliment, intrusive. They want to get with the student and make sure they're getting the information and, and whatever means necessary, right?
Yeah.
And I can definitely see they lost that shit during COVID, because you had to maintain 6 feet distance and all that shit for the protocols.
It was Okay, teachers tend to be very empathetic creatures.
Yeah.
I mean,
You gotta
what-
be.
you gotta be, or you don't last in the business.
No, it
You
ain't
gotta-
for the
it's-
fucking money. That's for sure.
No, so you end up with you have two things there. You got empathy, and you got to have the ability at times to separate empathy from what needs to happen. And
Yeah.
the really
yeah.
good ones can do both.
Yeah.
And during the shutdown and during online, I was right. I had surveys going out to kids every week, so to try to spot problems before they got there. And I had surveys going to all of my teachers every week. And then if there's something that popped up on a survey, I was calling that teacher to make sure they're okay, because you had teachers losing family to COVID, you had
Yeah.
and not being able
Yeah.
to go to funerals, you had all, so trying to keep them afloat, really empathetic people who need other people suddenly in isolation. It was not good for teachers. We actually I talked my district into putting in a counselor for teachers to try to get them back on track after that first few months.
Did you ever lose a teacher to suicide or anything during that time?
Not during that time, no.
Good. No, that because I can see that. I got a funny. I don't know why this pops in my head. It's nothing to do with COVID. My son, my youngest son, he's in 5th grade now. But when he started kindergarten in Texas, he had a kindergarten teacher. I went and met her. Like me and Jamie went and met her. Like the first, right before school started, you know, she was there getting her classroom. We went and talked to her. Super motivated, fresh out of college, 20 something years, no, 22 years old, 23 maybe. Super motivated. And then Jamie deployed, and I'm with the kids, right? I go see her. It was like night and day.
Mm-hmm.
I not that she still was, you know, was motivated and stuff, but you could see her hair was like everywhere. You could tell she was it was tough. So I talked to Jamie on the phone. I was like, I think Caleb broke her. It was just like in a few months that it just reminds me of like all these teachers that've been doing this for a while, motivated, and then COVID hits and just tears their freaking life force apart.
So it leads to there. First off, there's a great meme that shows what you just described. It's got teacher on the first day of school, teacher in the middle of the year, teacher at the end of the year. End of the year, it's just a frazzled owl with it's hilarious, and it's fairly accurate. So right now we're trying to get kids caught back up and give teachers permission to get back to doing what they know is best for kids. And there's young teachers, you know, I had to hire some brand new teachers during that COVID time and apologize to them because nobody's first year teaching is like yours. A lot of them ended up leaving the field. Right now, the teacher shortage is real. Let me just tell you, I told you I had that teacher retired in December. I've had 4 years ago, I could have a PE job open, and I open it. 24 hours later, at the latest, I would have 25 applicants for that PE job.
Wow.
Right now, I have that job. I've had that job open since August when he gave me his official retirement letter. I had 3 applicants, 3, and schools around me couldn't find any.
Wow.
So I got really lucky because I had to replace 8 staff this year. I got really lucky and found some really good people, but I was one of 3 schools, 3 secondary schools, 2 middle schools out of the 9 secondary schools in the district who weren't missing teachers. One of them was missing 9 teachers on the first day of school.
Holy shit. And it was a small school?
No, that was a school of 1,500 kids.
9 means a lot.
9 means a lot. That's
Wow.
So you got teachers teaching extra classes. You got class sizes of 40 plus. No,
And like they get paid more for doing that.
No, it's not. It's not. They don't get. You kick a class size up to 40. You're just asking them to burn out and quit. It's what you're asking them to do. But sometimes there's no choice.
Right. It reminds me of like the military during COVID. Like I was lucky, fortunate that when COVID hit, I was not on a ship. Thank goodness. But I think about these leaders, you know, which reminds me of like teachers and principals in the civilian sector. they had to do some leading in unprecedented times, kind of like what teachers had to teach in unprecedented times. And what kills me is all the freaking trollers out there.
Yep.
Okay. All the trollers out there talking that shit, but nobody had to do. There's nobody alive today that I know of. And I'm sure there's somebody, one of those, long living some bitches, but there's nobody alive today that dealt with the pandemic.
Nope.
And had to lead and teach students. You're talking about late 1800s shit. You're talking about Spanish flu. You're talking about typhoid, smallpox. Yep. I mean, you're getting in some old stuff.
Yeah, you're getting the real stuff.
So it's hard. It pissed me off that these people are like, well, they did it this way. They should have done this. Well, dude, you know what? Fucking shut up, put up or shut up.
Yeah, I had two things there. I had if you look at the newspapers when they were doing the Spanish flu with masking and whatnot, it was the same shit we were getting in the newspapers almost word for word now.
Yeah.
People haven't changed. We're still self-centered and we're still going to throw stones at whoever we can, just the way it is. But here's one that I have to be very controlled. That's the nature of my job.
Right. You cannot be the loudest person.
So I had a parent who was upset with the district's policies, and who, it doesn't matter, what it was about it doesn't matter. But this person told me during the conversation, I don't get it. If you guys are afraid, you can mask. My kid's not afraid. And I stopped and I said, well, that's not how it works. And then I said, wished them well and told them that they could file their complaint at the district office with the 2 or 3 others I'd had that week. And it all on that same subject. It wasn't my decision. It wasn't the wrong decision. It was district policy. This is what we were going to do.
Right.
And you got to hold that line because that's what you're being asked to do.
Yep.
My thought as I was hanging up the phone, and I couldn't say it because of the nature, I have to be professional, but I said, okay, I know that person was working at home.
Yeah.
I also know, I said, and my instinctive response would have been to say, hey, we can't get people to come sub. If you're not worried, come join us. Let's see how you do. Couldn't do it. Wanted to.
Sure.
Had to be. I had to represent the school, not myself at that point.
Right. And don't get it twisted.
Nope.
Now, I always masked up, right, when I was supposed to. My kids, during the masking time at school, they masked up. Not because I was worried about COVID, just because I was worried about the poor guy that had to enforce that shit at the place that it had to be done. It was out of respect.
Yes.
And that's what people lost. My body, my choice. I don't want a mask. I don't care. Well, that's good. That's good. But somebody is put in charge of watching you mask up and having to be that guy. Because you know what? I've had to be that guy to enforce shit that I didn't necessarily agree with, or I didn't necessarily think was that big of a deal. And I didn't want to put anybody else in that position.
Yep.
So that's the reason I did it. Because honestly, my kid, my youngest, my oldest never caught it. I don't know how everybody else has caught it, but my youngest caught it, and I would have never known. If he didn't, the only reason, because his mom caught it, he had a test before he went to school because he was in close proximity. He tested positive. Now, by the way he acted, I'd be like, for sure he's gonna be negative. He was all over the place. It was like the healthiest I ever. I mean, one of the healthiest I ever seen him looking, and he had COVID. But it's not because I agree with the policy necessarily. It's because I respect the person having to enforce the policy. You understand what I'm saying?
I do. And there's elements that there's a lot of things in life that we that it's part of being a society.
We're fucking grown-ups, right?
Yeah.
Grown-ups.
And if we're going to and that I think is societally is part of what we lost, because now we're not working together and I know I'm somewhat of an idealist on some of this stuff. I believe that if it's ultimately at some point you're a member of society, you got to do what's good for society. You got to do what's good for you along the way, but But
Right.
so many people have moved so far away from that.
Almost
We could
like
disagree.
it's me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not kids, it's adults.
Yeah, it's adults. And I always thought about that little old lady pumping gas next to me, or that little old man in the grocery store where I'm in there back when, I'm like, you know what? If I have it and I don't know it and I give it to that old person and they pass, I couldn't live. It's kind of like if you're speeding down the road and you hit a kid and kill him, you can't live with yourself. And that's
Exactly.
kind of where I would be.
That's where I was at.
Now, do I think mass 100% work? No, but
It's what we have.
I can say that I did everything I possibly could.
Exactly.
And
I was required. Well, wasn't required. I made a choice. So during that time, you have a kid come in with COVID symptoms. I had parents send their kids in with COVID positive, and you call them on it, and they would pretend they tell you they knew, and they don't bring them home. And obviously that wasn't going to happen, but they wouldn't come pick that. It only happened once, but there was, for the most part, people would just not test or et cetera. So you'd end up with a kid and you'd have to find a way to get them home, and parents couldn't get them home.
Right.
Guess who was the guy who then was driving him home in his car?
Your boy Chance.
Yeah. Masked up, roll all the windows down, put them in the back seat, take the bottle of Lysol out afterwards, because I got to put my kids in that car 4 hours later.
You don't want your kids to get sick just because it ain't about you worry about your kids dying. It's worried about having to get them sick where they're going to miss school.
Yep.
I mean, your kid get COVID. They're probably 99.9% of the time they're going to survive it. It'll be fine. But it's just like getting the flu. It was a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Hell, and we were still in the 10-day method and all that.
That was a pain in the ass, man. Oh my God.
But I had it. When I had it, I got it like the second week of school, right after we came back into it. And it kicked my ass.
Really? It didn't bother me that much.
I had 104 fever for 10 days straight.
Shit.
I didn't have any breathing problems, but if I'd get out of bed, it would be like, if I stood up for more than about 10 minutes, I'd have to go lay down and I'd fall asleep for like 4 hours. So I go back to, on day 11, first day I can go back, I'm not going to not go to work, even though I felt like shit. I'm no longer contagious. I'm going in. I go in there. I make it through about halfway of the day and I'm just cold sweat, have to go home. It took me a week of shortening my days to get myself back in to the point. And I didn't feel good for like 2 months afterwards.
Holy shit.
A
lot of people, I know a lot of like people that are big into fitness that like it took them months before they could, if they're runners, it took them months before they could run like they were before and everything. Me, dude, I caught COVID, man. And I felt like a little shitty. Like I had a 99 fever, but I popped a Tylenol and I put the mask on in the house when I got home. The first time I caught it. And I was like, I called Jamie. I was like, look, I feel like shit. Maybe she get tested. So there was an urgent care down the road. One got tested, positive as fuck. But I didn't even have a fever when I got there. I had it was normal because I popped a Tylenol right before when I got home. And then quarantine 14 fucking days later, man. I honestly, bro, here's the deal. I went insane. I was probably for a few days there, I was clinically insane. I thought that somebody at work was plotting against me because, in my mind, I was the man and they were trying to take my spot. I mean, I went fucking nuts. I called my buddy who was just max chief and I was a senior chief. I said, bro, has so-and-so talked shit about me, bro? I want to know, has he talked shit about me? I mean, I was ready to fight a motherfucker. And he was like, dude, you need a beer, man. You need to chill the fuck out. I was like, I just couldn't get it out of my head. It was just that because you got to think, when I called it, I was isolated, not just from work. I was isolated in my own fucking home.
Yes.
Dude, I was stuck in a bedroom. We had a big ass vestibule that separated the house from the spare bedroom. And then on the other side was the master bedroom. So I was stuck behind that vestibule. Even when I came out, I pulled up a chair with a mask, sat inside that vestibule and had a can of Lysol. And every time I opened my mouth, I'd spray it.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I just didn't want my kids and wife to get sick.
No, I completely.
They didn't, but it drove me to a point of freaking insanity. I went fucking crazy for a good 2 days until I went back to work. Once I went back to work, the guy that I wanted to whip his ass, he was super cool. And I was like, I couldn't be mad no more because I was over it, you know?
Yep.
But those 2 weeks fucked me up mentally, not physically. Physically, I was fine a day or two after I got tested for it. I was actually running. I would go run at night so I won't be around anybody. I was working out. I'd work out in my COVID room. I would, and I never lost smell. I could smell Jamie cooking a roast in a crock pot across a 3,000 square foot house.
Wow.
Yeah, I could smell everything. But my cigars tasted like shit for a few days. That was the only
Yes,
thing.
they did. Now,
But,
I actually, the second week of quarantine, I could get out of bed a little more. My fever was still up. I felt like shit. So I'd go spend that 10 minutes taking apart an old dresser.
Yeah.
Have you seen the pictures of my liquor cabinet?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. I have.
That was a dresser that while I was out with COVID, I took apart and started redesigning. And after I got over COVID, I turned it into my liquor cabinet.
Oh, nice.
So it's the only thing that kept me functional. I couldn't stand watching TV. I couldn't focus well enough to read the book, but I could turn a screwdriver for 10 minutes, then go take a nap.
Yeah. Fatigue really kicked your ass, huh?
It did.
Yeah. No, this one was weird. I mean, I was super tired. Like this one, I never had really sweats the first time. I mean, when my fever broke, I did, but here I was sweating every night.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't have fever, I was sweating. Shit's gross. You wake up and it's cold.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fucking gross. Hey, so Chance, when did you get into whiskey? Because you're kind of a whiskey guy.
I'd always my first taste obviously was I got in trouble as like at age 5 for getting into Dad's Jack and Coke.
Good for him.
And was falling asleep in the corner but
you were hammered drunk.
I was hammered drunk at 5 and my mom came home and found me because he was drinking with his buddy.
Nice.
But actuality, it came out of, it's been a gradual thing. I just was a beer guy until about 10 years ago and wouldn't drink mixed drinks, wouldn't drink anything like that. And then I started I was getting ready to go on a trip with my wife to Scotland. And so we started learning to drink scotch and fell in love with scotch.
Yeah.
And then about 2 years later, someone hands me a bottle of Redbreast Irish whiskey.
Oh, I love that shit, man.
It's my jam. I love that stuff.
Yes. I love
and
Irish
so
whiskey.
I've got an entire lineup of Redbreast sitting on the liquor cabinet, a little bit of Teelings to go with it.
Nice.
So I started into Irish, then it went into bourbon. And right now I've been picking up a bunch of rye. So it's just I'm slowly expanding what I try the last 10 years. And I'll admit, state liquor dispensaries being required to be open during COVID really accelerated that because
yeah,
you're suddenly virtual cocktail parties, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I started drinking cocktails. I started learning. So now I have a pretty good collection of whiskey. But it all came out of trying Dalmore 12 a year before I went to Scotland and then going and hitting all those distilleries.
Yeah, Scotland, I've never been. I've been to Ireland, I've never been to Scotland. I really would like to go there. But talking about your rye, I know we did an episode together a few weeks ago on your podcast. You were drinking rye.
I was drinking a really cheap rye that is one of my favorites.
Yeah, it was like $20 or something like that.
Oh, it's a $29 bottle. It's amazing. Yeah. It's a screw top.
I love that. Hey, you know, you've hit the bottom of the barrel when you unscrewing lids. That's all right.
But it's good.
As long as it tastes good, that's all that matters.
It was. I found it because it was It hit I think it was Whiskey Advocate or Whiskey Bible, one or the other. So it had it as a 97%.
Wow. You know, when I got into whiskey, man, I drank it. Used to drink like the Jack and Coke bullshit or something like that. And I had an episode with a mutual friend, Ian, from Why Whiskey and Tavern in Question.
Oh yes.
He brought back the Why Whiskey.
Oh, I listened to it this weekend.
Yeah, I was listening to it too. And we did a show together. He came on my show. It's still there. It's called Whiskey or Why Whiskey or Whiskey for Noobs. And he came on our show and he sent me these whiskeys and I fell in love with them. He sent me some Irish. He sent me some Powers Irish. He sent me some other stuff, but but he gave me a lot of recommendations. And it was a great episode. I enjoyed it. It was whiskey and talking military, because we were both active duty at the time. Then we're both retired. But it was great. And I kind of got into it after that. But no, I don't drink. I used to drink Evan Williams with water or iced tea, so unsweet. And now I just drink it straight after that episode. I mean, Ian changed my fucking life, dude. I mean, he did.
Ian actually, that was my gateway into your show, was that episode. And,
Tavern in Question.
No. When you went on, did he come on? You came on Why Whiskey? You and Jamie.
I came on Why Whiskey, but we both did Tavern in Question. Me and you.
We did Tavern in Question
with
together.
Summer from Stressed, Depressed, and Anxious.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was, and that was incredible. And we all kind of tore it up a little bit that evening.
Yeah, I got fucked up, man. I ain't gonna lie. I was retired. I have nowhere to go, so I really tore it up. Yeah. That was good. It was good, but I want to segue into your podcast. You have a podcast, Strive, Seek, and Find, and it's so damn positive, which is good. I think we need that. I think there's definitely a market for it for sure in today's world. What got you into the show, and then what made you make that I won't say twist, but to make that genre a more positive kind of feel? And they're short. They're what? I think your most one is probably 15, 20 minutes. Your longest one?
My longest one by myself is about 20 minutes. When I bring other people on, they go about an hour.
Yeah, hour when you have, but just when it's you. Yeah,
when it's me. What got me going was so right before I took my current job, I'd hit a really unique place in my career. I'd been asked to present at conferences about, I presented at a national conference on leadership about changing culture in an elementary school. I had finished that up, and I had been scheduled to present because my elementary team had taken a school that was really low mathematically and had moved us into the top 5 in the state that year. And then I left and COVID happened and a lot of things fell apart. But I'd been asked to present at a national math conference and talk about those things. And then COVID hits and it gets canceled. And I realized, as nervous as that had made me, I'd stopped making a couple of things. I realized that somewhere along the way, I'd stopped intentionally making myself uncomfortable to get better. And I needed to change that. And how much I had enjoyed speaking to those administrators at that conference. I mean, I had a young administrator out of Chicago, elementary administrator, first year, grabbed me afterwards and asked for copies of everything and said, I'm going to try doing this, what you did. Can I have this? Can I reach out? And I was like, of course. So it kind of reinvigorated my mindset, realizing that I might reminding myself that just not sharing with kids and teachers, but sharing with general populace, that I had things maybe that would be cool to share and offer. And so COVID came around and I was feeling that lack, and I got the idea, and I was like, what am I going to do? And it's like, what do I know? And I'm like, I could do another one of these movie podcasts like everybody else. And but I'm going to do a solo because I depend on people all week. So I don't necessarily always, I want to just be able to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And so somewhere along the way, I just started writing episodes, and I'm like, and I ended up all having a message, and it just sort of organically became what it is. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And but I've had a really great time doing it.
I've listened to several of your episodes a lot because, dude, I mean, on my way to work, I can put it on Spotify, and you're fine on Spotify. You're not on Apple, right?
I am on Apple. I'm on
okay.
Apple, Spotify.
I always found you on Spotify, but I listen to them and I can just put it on and I can listen to 4 episodes before I even get to work. Cause they're, like I said, they're kind of short, right? Sometimes 2 episodes, depending on the length. But there was one that stuck out to me, and it made me think about me, how fucked up I've been. And it made me change. Honestly, it made me change how I treat people in a restaurant.
That may be the nicest thing anybody said to me in months.
But
Thank you.
honestly, bro, no, you're welcome, man. Well deserved. But you were talking about that poor waiter during COVID, about how people are bitching about the food's not the same. This is not the same. This is not the same. Do you remember that episode?
Yep, I do.
Okay. My thing was, well, I'm paying the same amount of motherfucking money, right? Why the fuck are they not treating me the same? And that was before I listened to the episode, obviously. And then you put a twist on it that made me think, wow, I'm a big fucking asshole. I never would tell somebody in their face, hey, you're fucked up. But it might, it might keep me from going there again. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that. I'm not a rude person. I'm from the South. We got manners. But it maybe it would like, maybe I won't go there again. But I never thought about that other side. Like maybe they're told him or her, keep this far away, do this instead of that, do this instead of that. They're understaffed because, people are getting paid a lot of money to sit the fucking at the house these days. Maybe they're understaffed. And I never thought about it. They're trying to, that one guy or that one people that are, or some of those few people that are working are trying to pay the rent. And they can't, it's hard for them because there's less people helping them because people are sitting at the house, blah, blah, blah. And that stuck in my mind, Chance. That stuck in my mind like, wow. And I was always good at empathy, like I was always good at putting myself in other people's shoes.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I feel short sometimes in the restaurant biz or other business like you were talking about in your show. And it helped me, recentered me. And I thank you for that. Because that episode stuck out to me. And I heard that thing probably, I was still in Louisiana. So you're talking about probably 6 to 8 months ago. I heard that, maybe more.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that episode. This is one of your older ones.
It is.
And it really made me think about, wow, I'm a big freaking asshole. And I appreciate, you called me out without calling me personally out. I appreciate that because I like that. I like being called out, even if it's me saying that. Chance called me, even though you were just put out a podcast, but in my mind, you were like, damn, Heath, chill the fuck out. And that was great.
What's funny with people and the people want, and it connects to the podcast. It connects to my day job, connects to all of it. Ultimately, most people just want to be heard and want to be treated with respect. And if you can figure out a way to meet them where they're at and treat them that way, you're going to win. And by win, I mean, you're not going to end up having to throw down and have a pointless battle. You're going to be able to communicate without putting yourself in a situation where there isn't a win for either of you. And that figuring that, I don't know. I've always been pretty empathetic.
It's a fucking math equation, Chance.
It is.
Yeah, for sure.
But being able to get to that, it took me a while in especially where I started out being the disciplinarian for a school. Part of you wants to feel like you are the righteous fist of justice. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that doesn't help the kid. It doesn't help the parent. All it causes is bad feelings. It's learning how to meet them where they're at and say, hey, yeah, your kid screwed up. I still care for your kid. This is what we got to do. Then we can move forward.
How do you do that, man? How do you care for some person you don't even know?
Well, you know more than you think is part of it. Just I don't. You watch, you observe, you see how they interact, and you got to believe that when you take these jobs, you got to believe, hey, you're in. Got kids first, obviously. But you got to believe that the kid is trying to do the best they can. They just may not know how to do anything else.
Yeah.
And there are some, I'm not going to lie, there are some that are trying to burn down the world, and they got their own problems, and you meet them where they're at and you deal with it. It's not bless your little heart. It is, hey, this is what you need.
Yeah.
Because bless your little heart doesn't go very far.
No, that to me, where I'm from, bless your little heart is kind of like a left-handed comment.
Yep. My grandmother was North Carolina, and she'd go, bless their little hearts. I'm like, oh, somebody's in trouble now.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody's about to get their ass handed to them. No, man, I feel for you guys, man, teachers, because you could be got a classroom, right? And I believe that every teacher becomes a teacher because they want to be the best teacher ever teach, right? I believe that. I think that's everybody's goal. But people fall short, and it's just like this. There's teachers out there that love these kids who has
Yes.
done nothing, but some of these kids might have done nothing but give them shit.
Yeah.
The whole time they've known them, and they still love them.
Yep.
And they want them to learn. That's a special kind of drive, man. You got to agree with me. That's a special kind of drive. That's a special kind of heart.
There is, and there's some of these teachers with their big hearts. Part of being a leader in those buildings is protecting them from themselves.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a key example of this, that heart you're talking about. This is going back damn near 15 years ago now. And about 15. I'm vice principal at a high school. And I find out that one of our teachers is doing an absolute no-no.
What's the absolute no-no?
She's there's what I call the crash landings. There are certain things in the Idaho Code of Ethics that if you do, you can instantly be terminated for.
Right.
And most of it comes down to the key phrase that people use in life. As long as you don't touch the money or touch the kids, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think. Wait, dude, I lived in Texas for a while. There's a lot of like people and the teachers in Texas that was doing the big no.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I do know what you're talking about. But
was it that?
No,
Okay,
this
cool.
was not that. This was
Okay.
this. I had a teacher who found out that one of her kids' parents had picked up and left the state, moved away, and left her.
Abandoned the kid?
Abandoned, and she was technically not a kid anymore. She was like 2 weeks from 18.
Still
and they
a kid,
abandoned
man.
her. Still a
17,
kid.
Still a kid. It's illegal.
And so they take off. Can't reach the parents, obviously. She doesn't tell us or ask for help. She lets the kid ask to come stay with her for a while till they can get their feet under. So 2 weeks go by.
The kid asked the teacher to stay with her?
To come to her house and, hey, I need a bed. Can I stay at your house?
Live with the teacher. Basically live with the teacher. Okay.
Live with the
I'm just
teacher.
trying to get it straight. Okay.
So yeah. So the teacher lets her. Now puts the teacher at all sorts of liability, puts the school at all sorts of liability. I find out about it about 2 weeks later when the teacher finally admits to me that it's going on.
Did you lose your shit?
No, there was no point. I was like, tell me everything. Tell me why.
Right.
So I said, okay, we got to get her help. I said, and Chance, it wouldn't be a big deal, except she's bleeding me dry on top of it.
Oh, she's.
I mean, the girl, the girl was taking, not taking money directly, but she was eating with her. She was doing all those things, but she was also buying a new cell phone every once a month when her money from SSI came in. Instead of kicking some back to the teacher, she was buying the iPhone, whatever, and then going in to get another iPhone, whatever, a month later.
Was this teacher unmarried, single?
This teacher was divorced, close to retirement.
Oh, she was an older lady.
She was like 63, 64.
Oh, okay. She was older. Okay.
So
like grandma type. Yeah.
Grandma type, trying to take care of her little pups. Right. And so I have to pull this girl in and I say, hey, we're going to get you some help. I'm going to connect you with this resource, this resource. You're not ever staying in that house again.
Right.
And I said, because, and I put it this way in front of the teacher, because I will fire the teacher if you do. I didn't mean it. I was trying to make it really clear I had to scare the kid. The teacher, I didn't need to scare. I'd already scared her enough by going through what was in the Code of Ethics.
Yeah.
It was like, I got to protect you from yourself right now. Here's what this could mean.
Yeah.
All she has to do is say, you did one thing wrong and your career is over. You could lose your house. You could lose everything. So we're going to do this my way now.
Yeah.
And so kid didn't. About a month later, her parents come back and she moves in with them. She ended up, we got her some, what did we get? We got her attached to food bank. Made sure she had winter clothes. And then we tried to find a place for her to stay. And she decided she just kind of started couch surfing. So we knew had an idea where
random people's houses, living on their couch.
Yeah. Moving from one friend to another friend and catching rides. So we were able to keep an eye on her until the parents got back. Now, after that, we got her through. I can remember this kid's name still. You don't always, because
Yeah.
I think there's thousands of kids I've worked with in the last
I can't
27
imagine,
years.
pushing 30 years. I can't imagine the amount of kids you freaking dealt with.
So it's just, it's
Whatever
one that
happened,
sticks
why'd
out.
the parents fucking haul ass? Did you ever find that out?
They thought they moved down, and I want to say it was down to Mississippi or Missouri.
From
'cause
Idaho.
They thought, from Idaho, because they had family down there that they thought would help them out. That lasted they didn't call, they just went, and they were down there for like a month, maybe two.
Fucking ran them off, huh?
Ran them off.
Yeah, but dude, how can you leave without your daughter?
It unfortunately happens, and
I'm trying to put myself in their shoes, empathy. Like, what were they thinking? I can't think of a reason.
I can't think of a reason either, other than that their life was that spun up in a mess.
Unless their minds were just that jacked up from the life they were living.
Well, and here's another weird one from high school days. I had a guy bring in his 21-year-old man, bring in his 14-year-old wife to register.
So, she was still in school.
She was a freshman. She was
Idaho, right?
for.
Yeah, but Idaho, like the legal age consent is like 10, right? Over there in Idaho, right?
No.
I'm fucking with you.
No,
backwoods, you backwoods sons of bitches.
We are. I got my coonskin hat out back right now. I killed me a bear when I was only 3.
Yeah, man, you're out there freaking living off the wild. Marrying the first, woman you see, so you can reproduce the population. I know.
Yeah, this one I actually wouldn't register him. Parents were getting ready to leave town and go back.
So he was 21 years old. His wife was 14. She was registering to be a freshman,
and the parents had signed off on it.
Okay,
she might have been. She may have been 15, and I may be
tomato, same shit.
But it's bad.
But the parents signed off on it. They were in the area. I'm assuming
they were complicit. No, they were leaving town.
They were leaving town.
There was all sorts of things wrong with this, so I delayed it and set a meeting with the guy, and called the police. He got wind apparently, because never saw the girl again, never saw the guy again, never heard from the parents.
If the parents give consent, it's legal, right? I don't know.
There was something else going on there, and I've never put my finger on it, but it was just
damn, that's creepy, man.
Oh, well, my wife looks at me and says, "You need to write some of this stuff down, because she'll tell me a story for my first 10 years.
You should write a fucking book, bro." Dude,
I forget them.
I did the episode with Sylvester Jenkins. He said I should write a book. You should write a fucking book, bro. Dude, you should write a book, man. Because, dude, I tell you what, you could name it like, high school Tales from the Dark Side, man. That's some crazy shit that you dealt with, man.
But there's some funny stuff, and kids are great. We have the same sort of stuff at elementary schools. Not that bad. I had a guy.
You're not marrying an 8-year-old if you're 21. That's
you hope not.
Yeah. We're talking about Idaho, but I'm joking.
Yeah. I had a guy come in there and set a meeting with me, because he wanted me to deny his words here. This is completely disrespectful to his wife. But this is how he came in and saw me. Hey, I want you to deny my old lady. My old lady left me last night, and I don't want her to see the kids until she comes back to me. So I said, that's not how this works. You don't want me to have that kind of authority.
What power do you have? What power do you think you have?
Apparently he thought I had a lot, till I explained to him how it worked. And if he wanted me to have that power, I could deny him his kids too. Then he was less interested.
Yeah.
He went, I said, what you need, well, how do I do it then? I said, you need to go to and get a temporary restraining order against your wife and go do it. And I said, so I have to go to the courthouse for that? I said, yes, you do. Well,
they're looking for me there. I can't go there.
Exactly. I looked him up. He had 3 warrants pending. His ink told a story. Let's just say that his ink told a story.
Oh, his tattoos you're talking about?
Oh, yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're sitting there having parent meetings with people. You're like, oh, I know what that means, and that's not good. It always
Damn.
makes things interesting.
I would tell you what a good thing is, Chance. What makes me feel good is I'm from Louisiana, which, Florida has the Florida man. We have the Cajun
Yep.
man in Louisiana. And
That is-
it's real shit. And to think that we're not the only state, it makes me
It's
feel
everywhere.
good. It is. I landed in, I was on a work trip. I think I landed in Minneapolis or Chicago O'Hare or somewhere one time. And I got off the plane, walked outside. I said, you know what? They're everywhere.
Yep.
It was not just in the South. And they are everywhere. And I've been through Idaho a few times. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
They are everywhere. And it's funny how it's like middle America, little America, because you're not in, I mean, you got some big schools, but really you're located in little America.
Yep.
And
Well, I live in the part of the state that has 90% of the population, while the rest of the state is almost no one.
right. But everywhere in Idaho's what has like 700,000 in the whole state.
It's 1 point something million is all.
But that's not very many people for a state that size. And
No.
to think that it happens everywhere, like that, the shit seems to only happen in redneck America.
Uh-huh.
It's funny. Like, it's like they forget like the rest of the world is carrying on and these people are stuck in like, I don't know, 1820. And it's funny.
It is.
It's funny.
And you think you get to this point where after as long as I've been in, and you probably had the same thing in the Navy, you think there is nothing left that can fucking surprise me. And then I walk out of something, somebody says something or does something, and I walk out and I go look at my VP and say, well, got a new one I can mark off my administrator card now. I didn't think that was going to happen again.
Right. Exactly. And I tell you, the Navy, I've seen, because, a Navy is a snapshot of society.
Mhm.
And there's some shit I've seen that like, what the fuck? I think I grew up pretty normal, mom and dad, and, my dad passed away at a young age, but not that young, 21. I was still grew up, knowing my dad. Mom and dad still married. My dad was a welder. My mom was a bank teller, kind of the all-American jobs there.
Yep.
Grew up in a small town. And then I hear other people, and Jamie's the same way. Both her parents were educators. Her mom was ELA teacher, English teacher. Her dad was a biology teacher,
So was I.
coach. Yep. A coach, biology teacher, and a principal, or not just biology, but science.
Yep.
And she grew up pretty normal. They stayed together until her mom unfortunately passed. And then I joined the Navy, and I got these kids come in that got a story.
Yep.
And the human in me, it breaks my heart. But as the chief, the senior chief, I gotta be hard. They can't use that as an excuse, because you know what? I don't believe in excuses.
Mhm.
I don't care what your best is, as long as you're giving your best every day. Well, your best might be the same as another person's best, but as long as you're giving your best, I'm okay with. I can work with best.
Yep.
It's like as an electronic technician, I had a good friend of mine. He was a mentor of mine, still one of my best friends. His name is Kirk Hurst, retired senior chief in the Navy. I broke something one time, putting it in. It was not really my fault, but it happened. And I said, yeah, it was an expensive part. And I said, it broke. It was a CRT, the old CRTs like in TVs and stuff.
Yep.
They have a neck on them that is really fragile. And the person that was helping me slipped and it cracked. So it's no good. And it's like 10 grand I said,
wow.
I said, man, maybe not quite, maybe $5,000, $6,000. It was expensive enough. I said, hey, chief, he was chief at the time. I was still second class. And I was like, I broke it. And he said, look, if you ain't breaking shit, that means you're not trying to fix shit. If that's the worst thing that happens, then we're okay. So it's people like that. That's how I was. As long as you're trying, man, we can work with shit as long as you're trying. You can fuck up as long as you're trying. But if you're fucking up by like not giving a shit, then we got a problem. And that's kind of how I led my, let's say leadership, I guess. Leadership. Like if you gave a shit, we can work with give a shit. Because you can't teach. That's one thing you can't teach is give a shit.
No, I talk about I talk about hustle fouls.
Hustle fouls,
I,
yes.
I talk about you. I make yeah, you screwed this up. You going to do it again? No. I said, okay, then you've learned something. We can move forward.
Exactly. Exactly. As
Well,
long as
you're not,
as long as
you're
Go
not
ahead.
pissed off. No, let's fix it. Let's go figure it out.
Right, man. And there's times that I was young and I was maybe a little bit. I didn't take my time and I fucked shit up. No, that was just me trying to get it done because I was always I got to put that shit behind me so I can work on the next shit. I got to put that shit behind me so I can work on this shit because I was always taking on too much or taking on a lot. And that was too much, but I was always taking on a lot because I just wanted to be the best. And I figured the guy that's working the hardest is the best. I mean, that's just where I was raised. If you're working the hardest, then you're the best. If you're doing this, then you're the best. And it really took me almost probably in my mid 30s where I realized, hey, I was a chief where I realized, it's all right to take a step back and look at the big picture and figure it out before you take that first step. And that paid off big dividends for me the rest of my career. And I think it still does now. And I still find myself doing it.
Oh yeah.
I just want to get it behind me.
We get older, we become more who we are rather than less. And
yeah, right. Definitely.
And I mean, we talked about getting up on the balcony so you can see the whole picture. Yeah, let what's happened on the dance floor happen on the dance floor. You get up above it, see what needs to happen.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Except gonorrhea, that shit's forever.
Yeah.
What was that show? God dang, couldn't help it.
That's not The Hangover, right?
I think it is The Hangover.
I love that fucking movie, man. I love all three of them, man. It's great. They're my faves. But Jamie told me one time, and it really made me think, and I was still a chief at the time. Or maybe I was a senior chief. I don't fucking know. But Jamie's more of a hugger than I am. She's a chief now. She's a big deal. And she told me, and this is back when she was still a first class, I was either a chief or brand new senior chief. And she said, Heath will get the mission done. He will do what it takes. He will make it fucking happen. But there might be a wake of dead body. It might be a dead bodies in his wake. But that shit will happen. That made me feel a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Because I never thought of myself. I thought of myself I always put myself in other people's shoes. But they're bullshit me. I'd be like, nah, man, you get your ass to work. You know what I mean? Don't bullshit me. And I keep thinking about this time that this happened. And I mentioned it before on a podcast, on one of my shows or somebody else's show. I can't remember. There was this kid when I was a senior chief. I was in charge of the air ops department on the air station, which is the biggest department, has most people, right? Mm-hmm. Not say I was in charge. I was the senior enlisted. There was a department head ahead of me that I worked directly for. He was an 05. Great guy. Still friends today. But anyway, he came, checked in, brand new air traffic controller. Air traffic controllers are bread and butter, right? They do all the, air operations. What's in the air? Planes, right? Air traffic controllers control the planes. It's a big deal. A lot of training, a lot of qualifications go into that. That's a qual-driven job. He gets in, he goes, yeah, my brother has cancer. And I mean, I guess he just found out while he was in his school before he got there. And he needs to go back. He was at Walter Reed in Maryland, I think. Maryland's in Walter Reed. He was doing his chemo, or he could be a donor for marrow donor and all that stuff. And I was like, to me, it was easy, dude, take your brother, family first, man. Cause it ain't about what you do in the day. It's about how many people show up to your funeral. Right. So I was like, yeah, dude. And I ran my boss, my boss had already know about it. We talked about it, talked to the skipper. He was in agreement, sent him 8 weeks, 6 weeks or whatever, long time.
Yep.
TAD, basically he called into the recruiting station there and said, I'm alive, but he had full access to his brother. 6 weeks, whatever. I can't remember what it was. I think it was 6 weeks. He comes back and I'm like, and I heard his brother was doing better. I was really happy to hear that because, my brother almost died, and that tugged on my heartstrings a little bit. He died almost 20 years ago. It's been 2000, but it's still, I remember that shit. My baby brother. So he comes in. I'm like, look, man, I'm so happy that you were able to do that. And I hope you're ready to get qualified and get to work and, do God's work, right? Do the work of the American people, put planes in the air and get them trained, because we're a training base. So we train pilots, right? And he said, well, I need to go back there. I'm like, look, man, I mean, and I'm at the final stage. So I was like, look, bro, you got to get some quals done. All right. We did our part. I think it's time for you to do your part. And it was that frank, though. It wasn't like, no, it was like, no, we did our part. It's time for you to do your part.
Yeah.
I flipped that switch and I talked to my boss. My boss was like, no, you're 100% right. CO, no, Heath, you're 100% right. And he's suicidal, right? So all of a sudden he's suicidal. And they put him in a padded room in Corpus Christi, we were in Kingsville. This was like 30, 40 minutes away. Padded room in Kingsville. I mean, in Corpus. And they said, oh, he's good. All right. We talked to him. He's fine. Blah, blah, blah. Those are the professionals, right?
Yeah.
He comes back to Kingsville. He's in the barracks. That night, he hung himself.
Oh, good Lord.
You talk about when, and Jamie didn't mean it when she said that. I'm not blaming Jamie. She's just,
Yep.
We're talking, that's how we do, right? And,
Yeah.
As soon as she said that, that's what I thought about.
Yeah.
You know, and it still haunts me today, but I'm not the end all. As a senior guy, departmental leading guy, I'm not the end all be all. There's 2 or 3 people ahead of me.
Yeah.
Right. That make these decisions. I recommended his ass go to work. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna hide that fact. But other people agreed with me. But their job is to agree with me too, because I am the senior listed advisor.
And I'm going to say this, sir. You said a couple of things in there. Family comes first.
Right.
You did the right thing. You did right. And we don't know what else was going on there.
Right.
You probably do. So the we're human. We do the best we can. We take care of our people. And sometimes that is giving them what they want. Sometimes that is giving them what they need. And we don't always know how that's going to end up.
It's tough, man. It's tough because I'm worried about what they need, not about what they want, you know, and that's me. Well, he needed to go help his brother. I knew that.
Yep.
His wants matched his needs. But when he got back, I saw as a guy trying to get out of work. He liked that easy life of fucking not doing shit, but getting a good paycheck every freaking 2 weeks. And I saw a guy, and maybe I was wrong, but that's what I saw. And his family hated us. I didn't catch the brunt of his family, but my skipper did. You know, my CO did, who I liked, who we got along. He respected what I had to say. And I felt bad that he took the brunt of that shit, even though he agreed with me, but it was my recommendation at the end of the day. And it hurts. And it hurts. And this kid, I mean, what does it matter? I mean, what's the cost of a life? Like, what if I said, all right, admin step your ass? I could have been, let's admin step you. Let's sit you out. Send you on your way. Bye. But it was a different time back then. We couldn't just admin step people back then. You know, there had to be a reason why.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was suicidal, quotations. I say that, but the professionals said he was fine. He got over the hump. He was good. So I took the professional's recommendation and I took what I knew as a person, as a guy that's been doing this for a long fucking time, and said, I've seen these people come and go. And usually you put your foot down, they get to it and they become a good part of the command and they take care of business. And later on, they're glad they did.
Yeah.
Because when my dad died, I was young. I was brand new in the Navy. I wanted to get out. And I'm glad I didn't. You know, I was hurting. You know, my dad was my hero and he died and it fucked me up. I mean, I lost hair. I had stress-related baldness over that shit. It's a big fucking deal. But I'm glad my command stood firm, but they were with me the whole time. And they took care of me. And I became a senior chief and retired at the second highest rank you can retire at. So I'm glad it worked out. So I was kind of thinking about that when I was talking to this kid. And yeah, he killed himself. And his mom was, fuck the Navy, fuck this command. And it hurt because I thought it was a good command.
Yeah.
I thought they did their best. They weren't perfect, but I thought they did their best. And yeah, so yeah, man, when Jamie said that, I was like, you know, she got a point. she got a point. You know, I mean, honestly,
it wasn't the point she was thinking of, but
no, but I think she said that before that happened. Wow. So it was one of the things where, and I keep thinking about back on, because I've had a lot of, like I said, as like 26 years in the Navy, I had a lot of people come through and seen a lot of people and seen a lot of bad, seen a lot of people. I've seen a few people commit suicide. you know, but this was the first one that happened, and the dude worked indirectly for me.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that hits home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I have I can remember the first time, which is kind of relate, but not really. I can remember the first time that I was getting ready to let someone go.
like a teacher.
It was yes, somebody who worked with kids. It was a paraprofessional.
But somebody that worked underneath you as a principal.
Yep.
Okay.
And I called my dad, and who, like you said, hero, etc.
Right.
He passed in November. Well, a month. Yeah, last year.
So yeah.
But I can remember sitting down with him on the phone, and I'm stressing about it. I've got it like this is this lady's livelihood. She's got 3 kids at home. You know, I'm going through all the negatives, and he stops me and just says, you know, take this the way I mean this. This is not a hard decision, Chance. I go, okay. What do you mean? And he goes, well, after your meeting, is she going to be alive? Yes. Does she have an opportunity to go get another job? Yes. He says, this is not like standing on one side of a rice paddy and having to pick 2 kids to run across it while all you can do is fire over the top of their head. No one of them is probably going to get shot. This is not life and death.
That's tough, dude. That's real life, man. That's crazy.
And I go, you're right. I'm not making those kind of decisions. He goes, yeah, that is an unfortunate decision. That is not a hard decision. I said,
damn.
Okay.
Did he put everything in perspective?
He did. He wasn't going to show me any fucking sympathy. He was going to say, here's what you need to think about, which is one of the things I appreciated.
That's fucking crazy, dude. But I like the candid, like in your face. Or is she going to die when this is over? And then what the fuck's your problem?
Exactly.
Yeah, I like it, man. That's hard, but that's tough love, man.
And I needed it at that point. It's like,
yeah.
It's like he told me when I was coaching. He says, there's 2 kinds of, he never coached. He just watched a lot of sports. He goes, Chance, you need to understand as you go through this, there's 2 kinds of coaches in this world. Those who have been fired and those who will be. Your day's coming. It doesn't matter. You need to understand it. Just those kind of things.
You ever been fired?
Fired? No.
I got out. Dude, you got out of it on your own accord?
I got out of I didn't like my coaching career ended when I went into admin, and I quit football the year before because they fired the head football coach. I didn't like the offer I got. He made the right offer for his staff. I didn't see a place for myself on it, and I walked away and went and did other things. Went and finished my admin degree and left the school to be an admin elsewhere.
There you go. There you go. So you never got fired. You quit on your own accord.
I quit on my own accord.
So your dad was wrong.
Well, there is that.
Man,
I can't say that very often because
no, yeah, my dad was always right, dude. I tell you what, I'm sure he wasn't 100% right, but he could look at you, right? He could look at Chance Whitmore and be like, I can tell you everything about Chance off of one conversation. It's a sixth sense, man. And there's people that can do that. And I think I have some of that. I'm not as good as he was, not even close, but I do have that trait. But my dad could look at a sumbitch and be like, that sumbitch is no good, or that sumbitch is a good person off a 10-minute conversation.
Yep.
He had to weigh. It was uncanny how smart he was. You could drop his ass in the middle of the woods, he'll find his way out. He had an uncanny sense of direction and people. That was like, my grandpa was a pilot, so navigation is in their DNA.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad flew too, but not at the level of my grandpa. And my dad could stomp his ass. You drop both of them in the middle of the woods, my dad would fucking get out before he would. Dude, we've had a good conversation.
Oh, this is awesome. Every time I sit down with you, it's amazing.
I love it, man. I love it. Because, I mean, you're not much older than me. What are you, about to be 50-ish, right? You think you hit me up? You're almost 50?
I'll be 50 in January.
Damn, you're an old motherfucker, dude.
I feel it right now.
I'm joking. I'm 46, so I can't talk too much. But I feel like like you got so much wisdom to share with me. There's a lot of living that came along with being an educator for as long as you have.
It's been good. It's been a good life. And as I'm looking at it from, you're on your last episode when you were talking about your goals after retirement and what you'd like. And
Yeah,
I messaged you at the time, like,
yeah, I remember
dude,
that.
that's stuff I don't have figured out. And I got 2 months towards 50.
Bro,
And,
that was a mock counseling session or coaching session, just so you know.
Yep.
I don't think I'm at 300 grand. I'm not doing bad, but I'm at 300 grand. But
that's not what I meant. Just the same sort of things you're thinking about that you brought up were the same sort of things. I was like, I've thought about this. It was a really good episode and a really great counseling session.
Thank you for that, man. I thank you. I think the kid, Lawrence, I call him a kid. He's a kid. Everybody's a kid to me. He's like 25, 26, but he has a lot going for him. I think he has a future in this Navy and coaching, because I think he just graduated from school and I think he's got a long way to go. And I'll be honest, man, I wasn't selling the coaching thing, dude. I'm still not 100%. But I think it's a tool that could be used. Should it be Navy centric? I don't know, but I think it's I think for any sailor to do what they need to do, so when they retire or get out, they have something set up for the future. I think it's good on them. They did their duty for the country, and anything they can get, I'm all for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm all for anything that can be marketable in the civilian world. But is it something that we want in the Navy? I don't know.
And we have some of this, and it's different a little bit. Some of that in education with helping teachers become the best teacher they can be.
And I think there's a place for it.
And but it's a funny conversation that came out of it. We'd been talking about it. I was talking to my boss, and he wanted to know. He was talking to me about my goals and what my next job was going to be when I'm done, where I'm at, and whatnot. And I said, I'm going to be honest about what I'm most proud of in my career as an administrator right now. And maybe most is the wrong word, but the thing I've enjoyed the most at this point is that was a good sounding bottle top right there. There we go. The one of the things I'm most proud of is the number of people that are working in admin that somewhere along their route, I was able to help figure something out. And I mean, if I, I've helped a lot of kids, I've helped a lot of teachers, but I'm also helping this. I'm on the tail end. I may go 10, 15 more years, but I'm still a lot closer to the end of my career than I am to the beginning.
Right. You have more days behind than you do in front of you as far as teaching.
So that to me is like, that means somewhere along the line, I'm going to I hopefully continue to have an impact because I touch those people's lives.
Yeah.
For long after I'm gone.
There's so much resemblance in the teaching career and in the military career, because at the end of the day, your job is to train your relief. Mm-hmm. Right. And as a chief and as a senior chief, nothing made me feel better than that guy that worked for me get a promotion or that award or whatnot. When a guy makes chief and he calls me and says, "Thank you for what you've done for me."
Yes.
And not that I did anything for him. All I did was make sure that people knew what they did. Mm-hmm. Right. All I did was my job. But for them to take the time to call me and say, or message me or whatnot and say, "Look, thank you." That means more to me than if I would have made it. Right.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like if a guy gets a Navy Achievement or Navy Combination Award because of a award that I wrote because I recognize what they did, that's better than if I got it.
And I got a question for you, because I could see this in you. So because it's something. Now, I'm a guy, and I'm guessing that you are too, that when you struggle to take a compliment because somebody tells you that you start looking for the other hand. Somebody gives you a compliment, you start looking. Why are you reaching? What are you getting out of this compliment? You can't just accept it as a compliment. Not because you don't know you do a good job, because you do, but why is this coming up now is usually my thought. And part of that's the field I'm in, because generally speaking, the only time you hear, oh, teaching, you guys are so great to be a teacher, is when the economy's good. When the economy's crap, then everybody's talking about how lucky you are, not how hard the job is. Right. So, but it's just something. Even before I became an educator, I had trouble. People that are too quick with compliments, it's instinctive. You put them out at arm's reach until you figure out exactly why they're doing it.
Yeah, I get you, man. It's not because I think they're trying to. I always had issues, but it's not because I thought they were trying to like fuck me over. I thought
it's not what I'm saying though.
No, but I know, like you're waiting for you're waiting for the second hand, like you said.
Yep. Well, what are they getting out of it?
Out of it, right. It was always like it was awkward for me.
Yes.
Like I tell you, what's the biggest one is thank you for your service.
Yep.
And I'm like, thank you. We all have struggles.
Definitely.
My struggles are different than yours, but you got struggles too. And I don't think any one struggle is more than anybody else's struggle. It's just different. It's a different struggle. Like, yeah, I had an LPO tell me one time, my boss, he was like, I was young. He was like, you know what, Heath? He goes, my in-laws or my mom or my family, I can't remember what he said. They don't really understand what I do. They think I'm just at this big boys club. That was back when the Navy was a boys club, right? Talking about in the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
They think I'm at this boys club and I just get up, drink beer, and get paid. And I told him, I said, you know that feeling you feel when you get up in the morning and brush your teeth and you're not worried about somebody bombing your house? You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I do. I was one of the people, my job does provide that, right? I mean, It ain't just me, but it's a collective, right?
Yeah.
But you're the person that when I go by, spend $200 or $300 at a store, you make me feel like, hey, I should spend $200 or $300 at the store. Customer service. So I think it's all the same, man. I think in my mind, you're dealing with different struggles than I am, but we're struggling. We're all struggling. We're Americans. We're struggling.
Well, it's what work you decided to put yourself into.
It's what struggle you decide to take.
Yep.
Because it's not easy. Nothing's easy. And what does get me worried about freaking the other hand is something for free.
There's that.
Anything for free is probably got a catch to it.
Always.
And unless you got a good friend that gives you a free opinion. And that's about it.
And those tend to be worth exactly what you paid for them.
I got some good ones though. I have some good ones, man. I tell you what, but I have some bad ones too, but I got some good ones. I got some good ones that when I'm having, like you called your dad that time about letting somebody go. I've had those conversations too. And it's easy for them because they're not in the situation and they can think of it rationally, which is great because at the end of the day, you need rational thought. And Chance, dude, this has been a great episode, bro. I couldn't expect anything better.
Oh, this has been awesome. I appreciate it.
I hope you enjoyed it as much as I have.
Oh, my friend, it is always nice to sit and talk to you.
Well, we're going to sit and talk some more. I want to end the episode, but we're going to bullshit some more and finish. I got whiskey to finish. But I'll be honest with you. So before we stop, how's your Buffalo Trace?
Oh, it is absolutely delicious. It's got a very nice nose to it. It's got, I think of it as a nutty finish that I just absolutely love.
I tell you what, Hermes from the Scuttlebutt, thank you so much, brother, for giving me this bottle of Four Roses. It's halfway done. Me and Chance have been drinking, but yeah, I love it. It's great stuff. Can't ask for anything more. And we're going to end it here. But like I said earlier, please, if you like the episode, rate us, follow us, do everything you can do. We're all everywhere you can find us. Chance, give me a shameless plug for your podcast before we leave.
Shameless plug. Come on down to and check out the Strive, Seek, Find podcast. I am the home of short, bite-sized life advice. Sometimes it's lifestyle, but whatever you do, don't take my dressing advice. And along the way, you're going to have a little bit of fun. everything from travel to good whiskey to life with your kids and some great hikes along the way.
I can't promote your podcast enough. Please listen to Chance's podcast, Try Seek Find, guys. It's a great podcast. You can find you anywhere, right?
Anywhere, Apple, Spotify, Good Pods, all of them. I think I'm on. Yeah, I am on Google. I made sure I was even on Google. So even on Google, it's weird to say it that it's so minor, but any place you can get your podcast, I should be right there. Amazon even.
You can ask Alexa to find Strive Seek Find, correct?
Correct.
Nice. So hey guys, listen, they're short podcasts, but they packed full of info. So definitely give Chance a listen on the Strive Seek Find. And with that, you know what we wish you? Fair winds and following seas.